What actor or actress stupidly left a movie franchise or TV series thinking they were too good for it, only to be never popular again? Terrence Howard was in Iron Man 1 and was going to become War Machine. This was the very start of the Marvel movies, the McCoo. He got bounced, I think, for asking for crazy money. Don Cheadle replaced him for Iron Man 2 and all the movies beyond. Not exactly the same as your question, but Sean Connery turned down the role of Gandalf for $30 million plus 15% of profits, which would have got him about $450 million. He said he didn't understand the script. So next time he was offered a script he didn't understand, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, he took it, ended up so disappointed in the product that he retired from acting. Late to the party, but Stuart Townsend was the original casting for Aragorn in the LOTR movies, but during pre-production and rehearsals he refused to practice things like swordplay, horse riding, action choreography, etc., always responding, "You'll get it." On the day Peter Jackson decided he couldn't work with him, Viggo is brought in literally on the first day of shooting and the rest is history. Thank Viggo's son Alex for pushing him to take the role. His son is a huge LOTR fan and thought it would be cool for his dad to play Aragorn. He pretty much did it for his son. Richard Harris's granddaughter threatened to never speak to him again if he didn't take role of Dumbledore. Man, he was so good as Dumbledore, at least in the first one. You could really tell he basically had no energy left in Chamber of Secrets. He was great at the lovable grandpa side of Dumbledore, but I wonder if he would have been able to play the intimidating badass side like Michael Gambon did. Even in the first movie, he seemed so frail. Honestly, I wish Christopher Lee had played the role. He probably could have nailed both aspects of Dumbledore. My ex-girlfriend was on a soap but as a regular extra. They were starting to give her speaking roles, got her SAG card, etc. Once she got her SAG, she demanded more speaking roles or she was leaving. She never got another role after that. Happened to a friend of mine 25 years ago in Los Angeles. She had a recurring role on a hit network sitcom, but it was a dumb show and she wanted to be taken seriously, so she quit just as she was getting noticed. Never got another good role, quit acting a few years later and moved to Las Vegas to run a Pilates studio. I live in law and have a lot of actor friends, and you see this a lot. So many new actors think, okay, I got my SAG card, I've made it, time to start looking for my big breakout role. In reality, getting SAG eligibility is literally the first step in becoming a professional actor. It takes years of hard work just to get that far sometimes, and so people think it's going to be career-changing when it happens. In reality, that's just the very start of becoming a successful working actor, let alone becoming a famous actor. Because there are thousands of working actors who make a good living in film and television who no one has ever heard of. Commercial actors, soap actors, reality TV actors, all kinds of roles where you're not going to be famous but you'll make a paycheck that lets you pay rent and work in the industry. Once you get SAG eligibility, you still will probably need several years of cutting your teeth working whatever jobs you can get. Shitty sitcoms, reality TV spots, soap opera work, etc. Anything that can get you a paycheck and a credit should be something you prioritize. So many actors don't realize what an uphill battle it is making it in that industry even after you've gotten union status and you're allowed to be hired for speaking roles. That's literally step one on like a 50-step journey. Just because it takes you years and years to get to step one doesn't mean it's not still step one. All kinds of roles where you're not going to be famous but you'll make a paycheck that lets you pay rent and work in the industry. People don't realize that simply being able to pay rent, food bills for decades worth into a career is an amazing level of success as an actor. It puts you right in the top 1% of actors. You're forgetting the fact that a lot of PPL want to become actors to begin with for the fame. So a lot of actors aren't okay with just getting paid and still being a nobody. Even though that sounds like a great life. You get access to lots of cool things, a flexible schedule, and you can still maintain some privacy. The idea of being famous never appealed to me though. Lacey Chabert left Family Guy and was replaced by Mila Kunis, who has made bank between new episodes and syndication. She sounds like someone who's about to give up a huge opportunity. It's interesting that the show changed so much in the first 10 years before Back to the Pilot and has barely changed at all in the 10 years since. They couldn't do a Back to the Pilot Part 2 because there aren't any major changes to play off of. I think the classic, originally fully hand-drawn created cartoons, I can only think of Simpsons, South Park and Family Guy as examples off the top of my head, but I'm sure there are more, would often look dramatically different from year 1 to year 2 but would look more or less the same from year 2 onwards. just because it took that long to get the consistency designs down. Even Futurama had a bit of it. More modern shows use a lot of digital techniques for design and compositing from the start, which really improves consistency and reproducibility for the animators and designers. Bob's Burgers, as well. If I recall correctly, the first season was animated in Flash. After that they went to Toon Boom and have stayed that way ever since. I remember in the early 2000s, Matt Stone and Trey Parker said in an interview that South Park was made in Maya, which absolutely blew everyone's minds at the time. For context, Maya was a super powerful computer animation tool. It might still be, I haven't checked on it yet, and it was used for most, if not all, computer animated movies at the time. The other big movie of the time animated in Maya was Final Fantasy, The Spirits Within, which was considered to be a massive technical achievement due to how realistic everything looked. Again, tech has gotten much better since. To compare South Park to the Final Fantasy movie and say both were made from the same materials would be like telling someone you used a sledgehammer to put a nail into a wall. Of course, once South Park's secret was explained, the comparison was more apartment. South Park's secret was that the audience was always looking at a 3D image, but it was rendered in such a way that it looked 2D. I want to say the first season, or maybe just the pilot, was hand animated using actual cutouts, but at some point in the run they were able to replicate the look using Maya, and that's the part that everyone was flabbergasted about. It's also why all of SP is in HD now, even though the show started in '96. When HD became the new standard, they just went back and re-rendered all the episodes in the new format. Lol. Leo DiCaprio almost missed out on Titanic because he didn't read for parts. James Cameron said something along the lines of, "Okay. Thanks for coming in." Leo responded along the lines of, "Wait. If I don't read, I don't get the part?" And Cameron explained he'd be working on the film in post for several years after Leo was done filming, and he wasn't going to take the risk of casting the wrong person just because he was popular. Not quite your question, but I found it interesting. Leo's career could have been derailed if he didn't immediately humble himself to a screen chemistry read with Kate. Yes, Kate Winslet had a reading with Matthew McConaughey as Jack before Leo's role was finalized. You get older, I stay the same age. How's about you let me paint you like one of those French girls? Be a lot cooler if you did. Several of the actors of MASH left early to make it big. None of them really did. Radar left and did a lot of stage work. I assume he never really needed to work again after 8 years on MASH. The only person who really seemed to have a career after MASH was Hawkeye. David Ogden Stiers went on to do everything. Ada, y'all can stop telling me Stiers never left the show, I know that. I brought him up in response to the above poster's comment about Alan Alda. Ja Rule was in the first Fast and Furious movie. I like how Ludacris was in the second one as basically a cameo and then went on to become a major part in the franchise. He also became one of the world's best hackers at some point without explanation. Right? He used to have a cool role. He was the guy to know in Miami. Had all the connections and owned a sweet shop. Who is he now? Literally, what personality does he have besides cool hacker? It actually bothers me how at the end of the fifth movie he's like, hell yeah, I opened my dream garage with the money stolen in Brazil. Like, did he forget that he already has a garage in Miami where he also has employees? No? Why did they do my boy like this? Edit, I can't count or something. Brian Dunkelman was co-host of Season 1 of American Idol with Seacrest, and then quit. Over the years it has toggled back and forth between whether or not he would have been fired anyway, but in at least one interview he admitted to quitting and then almost becoming suicidal over it. I remember he went on Howard Stern right after he quit, and Howard bluntly asked him what TF he was thinking and telling him he was an absolute idiot for leaving. Howard was right. Howard makes this point pretty frequently when people leave a good thing. Like his own career, he suggests milking it as long as possible. David Caruso leaving NYPD Blue, and Shelley Long leaving Cheers are good examples. They even did an inside joke on the show while at a drive-in movie. Cliff and Norm make note that one of the original actresses in the Godzilla films was replaced by another female actress, and left halfway through the series. I don't understand, wonders Woody, why would an actress leave right in the middle of a successful series? Simpsons 2, where Moe's becomes Cheers. My waitress quit. She wanted to become a movie star. I think she'd have a better career staying here.